Good morning. My name is Adam Kahn, and I'm the Rational Investor. Today's Sunday, August 20th, and I hope you're all well and you've enjoyed or you're enjoying your weekend. Of course, like usual, I'm doing my typical reading and research and everything else, watching the media that seems pretty nervous about the economy. And the reason I call myself the Rational Investor is I hope that everybody stays rational and relaxes. You know, to be perfectly honest, I think the information right now makes it seem super scary, probably more scary than usual. But I think that's healthy, and I think that's keeping the markets in a good position. Even the Fed being involved in raising interest rates, if they're continuing to raise interest rates, well, things aren't so bad. That means the economy is chugging along. And unless we see some huge unemployment or anything else, I don't really see that changing a whole lot. You get those questions: should I buy a home? Should I not buy a home? Should I buy stock? Should I not buy stock? Should I invest in this? Should I not do that? Now, every answer is individual to each person, but I wouldn't be scared of the market because of the news out there. I think there's good reasons on both sides right now, and I wouldn't let any of that stop you from doing what makes the most sense for the position you're in. If you're looking at housing and you're in a good position, you have a good job and you make a decent income and you have some savings, I wouldn't let the guys out there scare you about the things going on in the housing market that may cause it to collapse. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. That's why I say I'd worry about your own unique position and decide from there. My personal opinion is I think the housing market's going to continue to do what it's been doing. I think it's going to continue to drift higher, whether that's in interest rates or in pricing. Like one way or another, I think like inflation is in everything, and you're going to continue to see your monthly payments get more expensive in one form or another. I also don't really see the Fed pivoting unless something goes wrong in the economy. My personal opinion is you're probably going to see the long end of the yield start to make more sense, and maybe the 10-year and 30-year start going up at a faster pace than the shorter term rates. Maybe the economy actually catches itself and you have a normal looking yield curve as opposed to one that's inverted. That's personally what I think is going to happen more than anything else. I think the Fed has done a great job to get rates probably where they needed to be. We were too low for too long. Hopefully, they don't overshoot it and cause an issue. But at this point, they're raising the rates slow enough that I don't really see that. And I'm going to delve into some of the things that I constantly hear, like credit card debt at the highest it's ever been, defaults beginning to come up again, um, this going up and that going up. So if there's inflation, wouldn't it be natural that credit card debt would go up? I mean, if the costs of goods go up, don't you think people charging things on credit cards are going to be a higher dollar amount, which would cause the debt to go higher? I don't see that as like this monstrous problem. I think that's called we've had inflation, so there's more credit card debt. There's also a record amount of cash on the sideline, too. There's over $5 trillion in cash that people are waiting for this big correction to happen that hasn't come yet. And what I've found in markets in general is when everybody expects things to happen or they're waiting for things to happen, they generally don't. It's only when they don't expect it. If that cash is all deployed and everybody thinks the economy is incredible and markets are going straight up and oh my God, I'm just going to get rich, I need to put it in this or that, sure, then we might have a correction. But if there's nervousness and fear out there, I think it's a lot less likely to happen. I just don't see a 2008 coming because, a buddy of mine, we had a CE class yesterday, and he made some comment of like, by definition, it's not going to happen again because things are never the same. So even if we have a correction, it's not going to be like 2008. It's going to be whatever it is now. And I still stand by, if we're all waiting for it to happen, it's probably not going to happen. It just doesn't work like that. It's not like everybody. Yes, I know if you watch The Big Short, there were people who saw it coming. And to be fair, my brother saw it coming and even said something. But it was more related to the option arms than anything else. That, yes, some people will see it coming. But there seems to be this 50-50 split of, oh, we're going to have a huge recession, oh, we're not, and for good reasons on both sides. And if 50% of the population sees it coming and they're preparing for it, and I'm making up the number, it's not a stat, the 5 trillion's actual, and the credit card debt being up is correct information, but the 50-50 is just my analysis of where I think it is, then it's probably not coming. I would, my advice to everybody, not financial advisor, please. I'm just some moron on YouTube, so don't listen to me. I just like to talk out my own ideas for myself, and I post them to share them because some people, I have a very small following, but I think it's super cool anyway. And if you guys want to chime in or make comments, go ahead. That's great. You know, I just don't see that correction coming. And my general advice is save, put it away. It doesn't matter if you're buying CDs. It doesn't matter if you're buying stock. It doesn't matter if you're putting in real estate. But you're just on the better end of the spectrum if you're continuing to invest in something versus not. You're way better off than actually spending. And unless I need the money in the next 3 months, 6 months, or whatever, I'd rather put it in a 3 month CD than just sit on cash making nothing still at the bank or a 1/4%. It just seems silly. For my own personal use, I try to keep a few months at the bank. But outside of that, I put some in CDs that if things go bad and I needed it, I have maybe 6 months, 9 months, or a year out. And I think a lot of the stats that we're talking about is more intended for people that are living check to check and struggling harder, which I'm very sorry. And if you can put yourself in a better position, my best advice is downsize, get your car payment down, do whatever you can to get that to be a net positive saving instead of being stretched like that. And I don't care how much money you make. I mean, there are plenty of people that make tons of money that still live check to check. And I would say the same thing. Do what you can to get your expenses down. Take a look. That might mean you need a smaller home. You might need a smaller rent or a smaller mortgage. That might mean you don't need as fancy a car. It may mean also, I drive a 2003 car. I love my car. I got no reason to drive something else. I can absolutely afford to get myself something else, but I have no need or desire. I'm comfortable where I am. And that's not bragging. That's just a suggestion for the rest of you that find yourself in a tough position to try to work out of that if that's the place you find yourself. In terms of the markets, my guess is they continue to go up. Just a guess. Friday in the stock market looked like a great day. There seemed to be enough panic. The markets had a nice pullback. I bought a few things myself. Um, Hopefully it works the way I hope, but if it doesn't, it doesn't. We'll go into, I keep a big bulk of what I try to put away into one account that I look at too often, which my brother jokes about. But other than looking at it too often, my goal is to do nothing with it. Hopefully, I don't need that money. Hopefully, it just sits for the next 10 or 20 years. And I trust the companies I've picked that I, I hope that they're bigger than they are in 10 years and they're worth more money. And if not, well, I'll deal with it from there. And then I live on my day to day, would I make it work, and try to stay in budget on that. So uh, that's my best advice on some of it. I love these guys, some of them that I watch. Like I watch Michael Bordenero. Boy, I hope I said your last name correctly. He's a Florida real estate agent. He's traveling around. He's in California right now. But he's really rational, but I think he's a little too nervous about the market just because he's seen how much it's gone up. And since he lived in 2008 and saw the financial crisis back then, there becomes this disconnect that we've had inflation. And if a house goes up from 300,000 to 500,000, it really isn't so different from something at the supermarket going from $3 to $5. The only different impact in it is they don't have to adjust for interest rates and potentially the monthly payment going up. But that's the Fed trying to slow it down from going from 300,000 to a million. It's not natural to some degree because we base mortgages and what we borrow on that as well. But there's still people who pay cash. I mean, he's in California where he's looking at homes that are $3, $4, $5, $6 million. I think a lot of those homes, and this is just my guess, probably are cash transactions from people who can afford it. I don't, California's always been expensive. Same with New York and same with some of the other places. I think the work from home is now causing some new locations to be found and more desirable. My buddy lives in Bozeman, Montana, that's had a big boom, but maybe like where I live in Las Vegas, maybe it was really undervalued for a long time. I mean, I moved to Las Vegas because I thought it was super undervalued. I don't really feel like the move that we have now doesn't make sense. I just think it's finally coming to fruition as to what I thought 18 years ago when I moved here. When I moved to Las Vegas, I used to say, boy, you can buy a McMansion, as I used to joke about it, for 225, $250,000. Well, growing up in New York, I, that seems so inexpensive to me. And I didn't really see Las Vegas as this awful, terrible place to live. And now that I've lived here for as long as I have, I would still agree. It's kind of a nice place. We have wonderful weather and everything else. The upkeep for a house is way less expensive than being on the West Coast, East Coast, where you have the cold weather and the winters and the snow and the rain and all these other things that start to impact your home. And I just thought it was undervalued. Maybe it turns out that this is another big spike and we have a correction, but I, I would rather own my home than not own my home. If I didn't own my home currently, the interest rates wouldn't be what's stopping me from moving forward, nor would the spike in pricing. Now, the only thing that might is that the rents have gotten to where they've come down, so I may think in my brain that the rents are cheap enough that it's worth renting. I still want to be an owner though, so I'd probably still be pushing to save money and own my house. It just gives me a little more control of it. Now that's just my own personal position, but that doesn't mean it's right or wrong. I just think it would be better to own my house than rent. I don't want to have to worry about a landlord deciding to sell it or raise my rent or whatever it is that might impact my rent situation. So anyway, again, I hope you're all enjoying the weekend. Um, Feel free to give a thumbs up, like, subscribe, chime in. I would love to have conversations. I know there's not tons of you out there yet, so maybe there will be in 3, 4, 5 years because I like markets and plan to continue to talk about it. A little background, real quick, before I hang out or hang up, just so you guys know. I've been in the market since I was probably 12, 13, 14 years old. I don't know what it is that I always loved them. When I graduated college, I moved to Chicago and I was a commodities trader on the floor of the exchange. It's just what I gravitated to. If computers didn't come around and change that industry, I imagine I'd probably still be doing it. But computers came around, there isn't really floor trading anymore, and I've gravitated towards other things. So, anyway, again, feel free to chime in, thumbs up, subscribe, like, don't like. Hope you have a great week. Maybe I'll do another video sometime in the middle of the week, maybe not. But enjoy your day. Bye bye.